Okay, good afternoon, students. This is Arindam Bag here. So far we have conducted three classes on the short story The Fly, part 1, part 2, and part 3. Yesterday was part 3. Today it will be part 4. And tried my level best to explain all the details regarding the text, and I hope the story is bit clear to you. Today we are going to start the next section. Yesterday we completed till here, and today we'll be starting from this part. So without wasting any time, let us start the text and analysis. So after that news that Mr. Woodifield's daughter, they visited Belgium to check the grave of Reggie, and they happens to cross the grave of the boss's son. The news of this, it was not new to him that his son is dead, that his son is no more. But realizing that one after a long time that his son is no more, he experienced the same wound which he had earlier when he received this particular news. The old wound never healed actually. It was never removed. It was there. It was silent. But with the news from Woodfield that his daughters visited the grave of his son, immediately make that wound fresh again. And that's why he wanted, he intended, and he had arranged to weep. So the next part is, it had been a terrible shock to him when old Woodfield sprang that remark upon him about the boy's grave. It was exactly as though the earth had opened, as he had seen the boy lying there with Woodfield's curls staring down at him. It's a weird feeling actually. He was having a kind of vision. He was imagining that the earth had opened suddenly, and Woodfield's daughters, they are watching his dead son lying on the grave. For it was strange, obviously, it's a strange vision, although over 6 years had passed. So it's been 6 years. It's been 6 years. His son passed away, but he could not forget this. Or rather, he suppressed this feeling by whatever means he had. But Woodyfield is a kind of bad news which brought that feeling again and again. And it's been 6 years. The boss never thought of the boy except as lying unchanged. As a father, he still remembers his boy's face, and he hopes that even inside the grave, his boy's face will never change. He thought like this, unblemished in his uniform, asleep forever. My son, groaned the boss. Through this expression, we can realize boss was kind of mourning. Boss was in pain, but no tears came yet. Now, when some near and dear one dies, it is very hard to describe it. But the fact is, being a man, it's very difficult to cry. Sometimes it's very difficult to cry. You know, you have lost someone very close, very near, very dear to you, but it is still very hard to cry. So he was trying to cry, but no tears came yet. In the past, in the first few months and even years after the boy's death, he had only to say those words to be overcome by such grief that nothing sort of violent fit of weeping could relieve him. Now, it is true that it is a concept that boys don't cry, but on the other hand, crying or weeping makes your mind clear or relieved. But here, the boss said only two words, my son, and he was unable to cry. He was unable to ventilate his grief. He could not relieve himself. Time he had declared then, he had told everybody, could make no difference. Even time could not change anything. With the passing away of time, normally our sorrows, our grief goes away. But not in the case of boss. Not in the case of boss. It is like it is still fresh. It is just new. It happens to be right at the moment. Other men perhaps might recover, might leave their loss down, but not he. You cannot deny death. Death is that concept where you can run, you can hide, but you cannot escape it. It's an idea, a very common, a very natural idea, which everybody has to face. Everyone in our life, we will face it. No matter how well prepared you are, still you are not good enough to be, you cannot accept it. You cannot, you cannot happens to calmly accept it. Yeah, initially we react, but at the end we have to accept it. Most of the people, they might recover, they might leave their loss down, but not he. Boss cannot accept that. How was it possible? His boy was an only son. He was his only hope. Every people, they have their intention, they have their reason to live, to work, to fight. But if you don't have anyone behind you, then what's the point of creating wealth? What's the point for working? For whom will you live? Now, his boy was an only son. Ever since his birth, the boss had worked at building up his business for him. It had no other meaning if it was not for the boy. So, whatever he had created, the business, the wealth, the power, the status, it was for the boy. Life itself had come to have no other meaning. His life without the boy has no meaning. How on earth could he have slaved, denied himself, kept going all those years without the promise forever before him of the boy stepping into his shoes and carrying on where he left off? This is the dream of every father. They work hard. When I am a father, I work hard so that someday my offspring, whoever it is, may get whatever I am earning today, whatever I am doing today. The boss had the same feeling, the boss has the same motive before him. He was like a slave to himself and continued his work for the boy. And he expects someday his boy will stepping into his shoes means the boy will take the responsibility of whatever he is managing now. And that promise had been so near being fulfilled. So he was very close. The boy had been in the office learning the ropes for a year before that word. Learning the ropes means he was like an intern who was learning the tricks, or he was actually learning how to maintain the business. That's been explained through this. Learning the ropes means learning the tricks, or he was in the training for a year before the war. The First World War broke in the year 1914. So we can assume It was in the year 1913. Every morning they had started off together. They had come back by the same train. And what congratulations he had received as the boy's father. Yep, that's a very common expression when a father and his boy move along, goes for the same reason, for the same business. People, they provide their good wishes, share their thoughts, congratulations. Oh, is your boy? Oh, nice. Good to see you. So, no wonder he had taken to it marvelously. As a father, he was extremely happy with this. People appreciating him and his son. As to his popularity with the staff, every man jack of them, down to old Messi, could not make enough of the boy. Every man jack of them means he, his son, provided all the solution to everyone in his office. Even old Messi, the office messenger, his name was mentioned earlier, could not make enough of the boy. And he wasn't the least spoiled. Now, normally, what happens as the son of the boss? Normally, what happens? Any office atmosphere, in any office atmosphere, he will be spoiled. Might have the chance of being spoiled, but he wasn't being spoiled. He was never been spoiled. No, he was just his bright natural self. He was very natural, with the right word for everybody, with that boyish look and his habit of saying simply splendid. Now, this is something which we need to learn. If we can do that, then the world could have been a better place for everybody. Right word for everybody. We need to be careful about the words, what we are using around us, around the people, for the people around us. So he was very positive, and most of the time he said, what? Simply splendid. An expression which shows his positive nature. But all that was over and done with as though it never had been. The day had come when Messi had handed him the telegram that brought the whole place crashing about his head. A news like this, deeply regret to inform you, and he had left the office a broken man with his life in ruins. So the telegram has the information about the death of his son. So you can see triple dot are used over here, ellipses. Deeply regret to inform. That means there are some other informations also which has not been shared. In any short story, briefness or rather brevity is the soul, is the essence of anything. So and he left the office a broken man, a father who just received the death news of his only son. Obviously, his entire dream, he will be a broken man from inside and outside also. His life in ruins. 6 years ago, 6 years, how quickly time passed. You remember, it happened 6 years ago, but it happened so fast. Time has passed so quickly. It might have happened yesterday, as if it happened yesterday. He could not forget these things. No? The boss took his hands from his face. He was puzzled. Something seemed to be wrong with him. He realized in his life there must be something wrong. He doesn't deserve this life. He doesn't deserve this kind of pain. He wasn't feeling as he wanted to feel. Sometimes it happens. Deep inside, we are very unhappy. We want to feel that in that way, but could not feel. Sometimes the opposite happens. We want to be happy, but due to some reason or due to some panic, we are unable to being happy. He decided to get up and leave a look at the boy's photograph. When we miss someone, we do the same thing. We normally look, we open our gallery of a smartphone and check the photos of our near and dear ones whom we are missing. The same thing happens here, but without the smartphone. Obviously, back in those days, smartphones were not available, so the only thing he had was the photograph. But it wasn't a favorite photograph of his. His expression was unnatural, it was cold, even stern looking. The boy had never looked like that. We have our favorite photographs of our near and dear ones, and special expressions which we like most, favor most, but not um, all the photographs. has that expression. We don't like that. But boss has no other option but to check that photograph. And he said the expression was unnatural, it was cold, even stern looking. And his boy never looked like that. So that will be all for today. See you all in the next class. Thank you for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe my channel. And soon Google form will be uploaded to you. Please submit it by 5 p.m. Thank you again.